5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about it, I'm afraid. Hull City 2, Leicester City 1. Thanks for joining us. And if you're watching live, like, subscribe, and share the video. If you're watching on catch up, do exactly the same. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, first of all, I'm disappointed when you've got two fantastic hunks like this on screen. Why would you want to listen to it? But if you do, thank you for lending us your ears. Available on all major podcast platforms. Good evening, Steve. The natives are getting restless.
They are indeed. Yeah, I am sort of one of them, but not fully one of them.
I got like that last night with the watch along when people were going mad about the fact that we had drawn 4 games in a row with the Wrexham performance, and I was very much what the hell are you talking about? We'd have taken this last season, 4 draws. We've got still the same shit playing, but we've sold the best of the shit, if you like. But last night, that performance, it was. I put here. Let me tell you what I wrote at half time yesterday. The most rude-like performance under Marti.
Yeah, I think that was probably worse than some of the performance we saw last season, like genuinely. And if you include the last 45 minutes against Portsmouth and that first 45 minutes last night, that's the worst 90 minutes of football I've seen in a very, very long time. It was so. There was a lot of chance. I don't know if it picked up on the TV channels necessarily, but there was a lot of chance of Marti sort it out. And I'll be honest, I think he deserved it because it was atrocious. It genuinely was. And my rule of if we go 3-0 down, I'm going home. It came very close to being true after about 35 minutes.
Did you go?
I did, yeah.
Oh God, that's a hell of a long way, isn't it?
Not for me. I live in Lincoln, so it's 45 minutes up the road for me. But I had done some work around Hull. I did a few deliveries, but I was still at Hull for 3 hours before kickoff. So walking around Hull it's not the nicest place in the world. I'm not going to lie.
No, that was probably almost as bad as the game. Look, I mean, the men of the match, and we'll go through the players obviously later. But it seems to be the lone players. The people that are scoring seems to be the lone players. What does that tell you about the players that we've got?
I think it's also the fact that the mentality is such an issue at the club as well. You've tried Daka, you've tried Ayew, you've given Carranza not nearly enough time at all, but you've tried them as well. They're not good enough for strikers in this league by all accounts, or it doesn't look like that case anyway. The wingers are constantly getting doubled up on. So that even their outlet is negated significantly. So your creativity comes from the middle. And if you're trying to force somebody like JJ, who is not a natural 10 and has been proven already that he's not very good in that role, so you then rely on Samare, who one moment last night, Chris, in that first half, he won the ball in our box. He gave the ball away in our box. He then got the ball back in our box to then give the ball back away in our box. And it's like, there's no creativity, and there definitely wasn't in that first half. It was, yeah. I honestly, I was looking at them and just shaking my head because it just wasn't good enough.
No, look, when we did obviously the watch along, and me and Tom looked at that lineup before the game, and we both said, looking at that lineup, we're going to lose. Now, I know it was Saturday night, Tuesday, Saturday. Maybe we should have had the Wednesday. I don't think it would have made any difference, to be honest with you. But we looked at that, and you're thinking, well, why isn't Ramsey starting? He scored a goal last week. That is obviously his position. We've seen James in this position before, and it's not his best position, as you say. When he's back in, alongside wings, brilliant. He plays really well. He's got a couple of goals there, got a couple of man of the matches from Allen. And when you looked at that, aren't you thinking, what the fuck? And then no Monga. You put Ayew in there, who we know can't play on the wing. Whatever we try and love about him, he's not a winger. Chowdhury, all right, look, I'd sooner have given a Luco a chance, and I've got to say I'd sooner have given a Christensen a chance yesterday. But when you look at that, and what pisses me off more than anything is we're talking about players here that would drop, like Monga, like, who did I just say? Ramsey. Mm-hmm. They're not even 22, 23 yet. If they can't play 3 games in a week, what are they going to do when they get to tournaments?
So, yeah, I can understand, rotating out Ricardo. He didn't have a good game at the weekend.
Yeah, no, that one I understand.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But there were some people online saying, well, Ramsey's come back from an injury. But he's been training with us since August now.
Yeah.
He's had 2 international breaks where he's working on his fitness. You can't tell me that now, near the end of October, he's not fit enough to play 3 games a week or even 2 games a week, in this sense. I don't understand why we dropped him out for Samare in this sense. In this case, sorry. Because, if you play Ramsey and you play Winks and James in his natural position in that Samare role in the picture ahead, like, that's a much better midfield. It's we control the ball better. But then in the second half, we took JJ off and kept Samari on. And I didn't understand that. If you're going to play Ramsey in the cam role, you bring James on and put him in the Samari role. So that baffles me. And look, there's been a lot of criticism of Marti online. Some of it I completely agree with. Like, I think he says the things that fans want to hear, but he doesn't back it up himself. And he's had 11 games now with this squad. He should know who he can trust and who he can't trust. And the blind trust that he's had in Wout Faes, in Luke Thomas, who seems undroppable for some reason. Christensen is back now. As much as I don't think he's a very good footballer, I think he would fit the system a bit better than Thomas. That just the fact that he's saying one thing and then not doing it is really annoying. And then my other criticism is the fact that we've got what is perceived to be a golden generation coming through the academy. We've got Ben Nelson, Aluko, Louis Page, Jeremy Monga, Luke Evans as well, Silko Thomas to an extent. None of these players can get on the bench other than Silko Thomas and Monga. That, to me, screams that, well, actually, you've signed your deal. Bugger off. We don't need you for a bit. We'll call on you when you need to. And does that mean that whilst some fans would be happy to spend another season in the Championship because, we want to see a rebuild, the club are pressuring the manager to play these players that have experience and are good players because they need to get promoted this season? And is it promotion at all costs, even if it is detrimental to the progression of the younger players? That I'm finding a bit confusing.
Maybe it is if there's plans for the club to be sold. Because if we're in the Premier League, it's a better prospect.
Yeah.
I can't argue with any of that. I was quoting you were saying about the sign a new contract, but go off back to the under-21s.
Yeah.
But we heard all this, and I'm fed up with hearing it. We heard it with Cooper, we heard it with Rude, again with Marti. Oh, they like the youth, they'll bring the youth through. The QPR side was the youngest in the Championship. Well, where are they?
Yeah.
Where are they? That team there was the team that was so fucking awful last season You know? And I'm sorry, you put your best. If you're only going to play, and I understand, the one I do understand is not having Ricardo in. He does need, unfortunately, although if you're on that much money, bloody take a risk on him. But look, I get that one. Chowdhury, maybe not, but I understand Ricardo not being in there. But put your best players on from the start. So if you're going to give a player 60 minutes or 30 minutes, give him the first 30 minutes so that we can get in the lead. Because it's hard to win a game from. I mean, I heard on the. I mean, I actually had the whole commentary on last night on the pitch because it's interesting sometimes. Well, A, Matt Elliott bores the socks off me. B, it's nice to hear sometimes what other people think of Leicester. And the commentator said, I hate to say this, he said, but 2-0 up. He said 2-0 is probably the most risky score line to be defending. And I'm going, not against us tonight, it ain't, mate.
Oh yeah, and also I heard a snippet from the Hull commentary. They pointed out that Wout Faes is a weak link in this defence, and they hit the nail on the head because he is the weak link in this defence. Okay, Luke Thomas is also a weak link. Yeah. That's not ideal, is it? Having two weak links in a chain.
No, but, not in the back four.
Yeah, but Wout Faes pushes forward into that midfield at times and leaves a massive hole in behind, and we get punished for it. So. Yeah, Chris, it has been depressing, and I thought usually I'm pretty rational when I calm down after a game, but I woke up this morning even more annoyed, and then I listened to When You're Smiling and got even more annoyed.
Well, look, I mean, I put down here half time subs: Monga, Daka, Ramsey, James, and I put wanking substitutions. That's how pissed off I am. You will see with my certain rankings later. I blame one person for that defeat last night, and that was Ruud van Nistelrooy. We might as well. We blame him for everything else. That was Marti Cifuentes. It was his fault because he picked that team. Now, people were saying, well, you know what? You don't know what goes off on, what happens on the training pitch. I don't give a fuck what goes on the training pitch. I give a fuck what goes on for the 90, 100 minutes when the referee blows that whistle. Ruud used this excuse all last year. Well, they do it right on the training pitch. They're not up against a team that's trying to beat them on the training pitch. I don't shitting care what they're like. It's how they perform. And if he hasn't got the balls to stand up to the owners, having paid his money to come in, he should be able to turn around and say, look, it's my way or the highway. I'll leave, pay me my money back, and then we would really be in the shit.
Yeah. So I do think that I agree that you can blame Marti for last night. I think that his choices set us up wrong, and it's a mountain to climb when you're 2-0 down at half time. So, and also coming out the second half, you can throw everything at a team because you're not really going to lose anything, are you? You either get back into the game or you lose anyway. But I do think that replacing the manager is really not the issue. That's papering over the cracks in the situation.
No, I'm not saying we should replace the manager. What I'm saying is the manager should be able to stand up for himself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So what I was about to say in that sense is that because he's going to get pelters for whatever he does anyway, no matter how he picks a team. But he should be able to stand up to these players. And by all accounts, what we heard against Portsmouth is that the players weren't listening to him at halftime. They came out second half and were a bit like 20 minutes in. He was yelling at 5 minutes in, trying to change the system, and nobody listened to him. That is an arrogance issue from the players' side of things. If he can't come in and command the dressing room, then he needs to drop the players that aren't listening to him and be the bigger person. And if the club says, well, hang on a second, for example, say Wout Faes, who's on 50-odd grand a week, he needs to be playing because he's a Belgian international and we need to sell him at some point. We're going to have a depreciation asset if we don't play him. And Marti should say, no, he's not good enough. He's a liability and he's not in my plans. It's up to you to sell him, not for me to play him. So yeah, I agree. He needs to come in and say, I'm sick of this. But then you look at the squad, like realistically, if you look at that starting 11, for me, the players that wouldn't start again for this season for now is Wout Faes, Luke Thomas, Samare, and Patson Daka. The rest you can give a case for of being okay. But if you drop those four, that's Daka on 60 grand a week, Faes on 50 grand a week, Thomas on whatever he is now, he signed a new deal, and Samari on 70 grand a week. The club are going to be being like, well, we're spending a lot of money and they're not playing. You know, sort of.
Then he should be turning around and saying, "Well, this should have been sorted out when we signed him." To be honest with you, you know, but he should be turning around and saying, "Look, who's the manager here?" Now, I can't believe that Top wouldn't back him, because I don't think he's not that sort of a guy. But yeah, Martin needs to stand up. Look, he's dropped Face, he's dropped Winks before the window. Look, if we'd have gone out last night, let's say we'd had Nelson in the back four, if we had a Luco in there, Monga in there, Jake Evans up front, let's say. And all right, so you're not going to replace Fatawu, you know. But if we'd got those sort of youth players in and we'd lost 2-1, yes, we would have been angry. Yes, some would be moaning, well, that's what happens when you play the youth. But the majority of fans would have turned around and went, fair play. You've dropped those players because we know how shit they are. You've stood up, you've dropped them, you've put the youth in. Yes, we've lost, but don't get those other players back still. Go with the youth again. You're on mute, mate.
My bad. I moved my microphone. Yeah, I completely agree. And then to flip it a little bit, I don't think we're having these conversations and we're this angry at the football club if they just communicated better as well. You know, because if they said, "Look, our plans to play off the season," we'd be like, "Okay, we know where we stand. Okay, we know that you can blood these players through, and it's not an issue because if we don't get the playoffs." You know, it's a lottery in the playoffs anyway, whether or not you get promoted. Quite a lot of the time, any team that finishes third doesn't go up all the time. You know, it's one of these things.
Yeah.
But if the club came out and said, look, you know, we want to be competitive and we're rebuilding, then that gives a green light to the manager to play the younger players and give them a chance to push them through. But we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, whether or not there is pressure to play these players that clearly don't want to be here. You know, they don't give a shit. They wouldn't bust a gut to, you know, look at the Portsmouth goal when the draw at the weekend. Like none of those players were sprinting back to get a tackling other than Ricardo. So, you know, play the players that are going to put their body on the line, the Louis Page, the Aluko, the Ben Nelson, that are the future. Because if we don't get promoted and we're selling assets, these are players that are going to be worth 10, 15, 20, 25 million pounds. In Ben Nelson's case, he could be worth 30 million pounds if he has a good season in the Championship again.
And what we've got, there's 63 days till Christmas, which means there's 70 days till the transfer window opens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do we know what we need in the transfer window when we think we know what we need, but when we've got players there that we don't know how well they're going to do? I mean, Ben Nelson was turning in performance after performance. Oxford's dead. Ben Nelson's too good for Leicester.
Yep.
You know, well, is he? I don't know. He had one game and you've dumped him after one game. You know, let's give these, you know, you've got 70 days. So that's maybe 8 games, something like that. We've got possibly 9 with it being December, to have a look at these players, because why go out and spend... We spoke the other day about the one player that one position I want to see somebody come in is a striker. I want to see a striker come in. Do we need to spend money? Yes, we do, because we've seen that not spending money gets us dross. And I'm sorry, I know he's only had one game, but one shot in 60 minutes, we might as well have, you know, stick Daka in.
Yeah.
But what if Jake Evans was to come on and get a couple of goals? We might not then need to spend that sort of money, but we won't know because we're never fucking seeing him.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you look at the bench last night, you know, Oliver Skipp's out on there. Now I know he's an asset to the club because
last night.
Yeah, we spent £25 million on Oliver Skip, so realistically, you know, he needs to be in the squad because he's a depreciated asset, and you need to potentially get money back for him. But I don't think he's any better than Louis Page. You know, you and then you look at, you know, you've got Christensen. Whether or not he's going to be here in January, I don't know. I think he probably moves on in the window anyway. Carranza, I don't think he's good enough. He's a good-looking guy, but he's just not up to it, in my opinion. Akoli, by all accounts, it was rumoured that he was wanting to leave in the summer and go to Italy. Would I prefer to play him over Woutfas? I would. I think he's still young, he's still raw, and we're going to get some poor performances out of him, but then we're getting that out of Woutfas anyway, so take the risk and get him in.
Yeah.
You know, okay, Monga's there, he's getting minutes, he's still only 16, but he proved when he came on last night that he can make a dent. He can take players on and win free kicks. And then obviously Ramsey's a lone player, so by the by, at this point, if Ramsey comes on and plays every game and is incredible, he goes back to Burnley and we don't see him anyway. So, but yeah, it's just frustrating to see because Silko Thomas was on the bench last night as well, and you're playing Jordan Ayew, which I get, but then playing up top, play with Silko Thomas on the wing. Marti said that he liked the directness and the quality that Silko Thomas brings, but then doesn't play him. How are these players going to progress and become better footballers if you're not going to give them minutes?
Well, exactly. This was, like I say, Iheanacho, he was knocking them in for fun with Man City. That was Man City, obviously, so he's going to score more. But, he never got the chance because he got 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. When he was given a run in the team, he was our top scorer that season. Look, sorry, that's not the whole bench, obviously. But, when you look at those are 5 players that should have been starting and then taken off if they tire. For me, I just Carranza. Look, I don't think he is the person. But look, last time we were in the Championship, we had the element of surprise because nobody had seen Fatawu. Nobody had seen Mavididi, if you like, in that formation. So they were literally ripping people apart. This time, any manager worth the salt went, well, let's have a look how they played. All right, they couldn't last season because of the injuries, but let's have a look back in 2 seasons ago and watch some Leicester games. And like you say, you've got 2 players on them because there's not that element of surprise anymore. So why isn't Marti trying something down the middle, which seemed to work when he had James in his proper place?
Yeah, so Locks and Anil made a very good point earlier on, actually. The Championship has changed in the sense of how the style of play compared to where we were 2 years ago. So Enzo football, that hadn't transitioned to the Championship at that point, where teams could play out from the back and be, possessive-based football and it was a bit of a case of, oh, bloody hell, what's this? But now, like, most teams know how to play against that. You sit deep if you can, and you press them. And if you press teams, you're going to get opportunities to score. And that's what happened last night. We were pressed. And again, against Portsmouth, we were pressed and we gave up chances. So I don't think we have the squad to fit the style of play of football that Marti's playing at the moment. I don't think we have the passing play, the players to do that. Harry Winks is great and JJ is good, but realistically speaking, if you don't play Ricardo, Hamza can't do that push into midfield role that Ricardo does. Luke Thomas definitely can't play that role because he's just not good enough. And that's where JJ of last season's JJ, not this season's JJ, could do that role. He was quick enough to be able to get into midfield, push into attack, and then drop back if he needs to. The style of play is different to Enzo in the sense of we don't have overlapping fullbacks. We don't have underlapping midfielders that we had under Enzo to give the extra room for the wingers. So realistically, I think Marti needs to make a change in how he's playing because it's clearly not working against teams that will happily press.
Yes, yeah. Interestingly, let's have a look at some stats. 18% of the game was played in the Hull third. So Leicester striking there. 36 in ours. It's always going to be higher in the middle. I mean, double in ours. That was, and that is a sad indictment of the team that played last night.
Yeah, and so it says here that we were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities through the individual skill. But you can't rely on that every week, can you? That's not something that you should be relying on. It makes sense if you once every now and then in a game, sure, but not if it wasn't for Abdul trying to push down the outside of the players and run into the box, I don't think we created anything really. And even our goal was from a wonder strike. Poor at finishing. I didn't see anything that was that and even close to finishing, to be honest.
No. I mean, to be honest with you, that's I always feel some of these statements should be followed by "no shit, Sherlock," and that one is one of them. Had a large quantity of possession, as you'll see in a second, in not just in the opponent's half, though, everywhere. favoured short passing. This is why I said this was the most rude performance under Marti. We couldn't pass wind. If you're on 70 grand a week, you should be able to pass the ball from A to B. If not, send the team out in the next training session to train with the under 21s and pass the ball around. Show, because if you and long balls, I mean, look, we all know that's Vestergaard's strength, fair enough. But when other players were trying to play the ball over the top, it not only went over the top of the strikers and the midfield, but it went over the top of the goalkeeper at the opposite end because it ended up out of play. I mean, these are simple things. And, it's no good Marti saying, well, they don't do that on the training pitch. So fucking what? It's the simple things that football players can do properly.
Yeah, and this is what I mean about the Enzo style of play with passing worked for Enzo because he had the players to do it. I don't think we have the players to play that short passing style, keep hold of the ball, because we make too many mistakes giving the ball away. Quite simple passing that just go out of play all the time. There was a moment yesterday where Christensen came on and his first touch of the ball, we passed him the ball and he ran it out of play. And, and there was another in the first half. We were under pressure. Luke Thomas got the ball. He had an easy pass out to Ayew on the wing. He cut back inside, cut back outside, and put the ball out for a throw in because he was under pressure. Like, it's basic football. Growing up, the first thing you learn is you don't pass the ball across your box and you try and find an open man. And we seem to be failing on every single rule possible in that sense.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. Did I may have missed it? I missed Daka coming on, so I may have missed this as well. When the commentator mentioned his name, I thought, when the fuck did he get on? But I must have missed Ayew suddenly turning into primetime Messi. I mean, I don't know at what point that happened, but he had a moment where he'd got 3 players on him. And he managed to get away from 2. Thought, I'm not going to pass the ball. I'm going to try and beat the 3rd guy. And what happened? He lost it.
Yeah, I remember that and being like, oh, and then just the... do you know the Roy Hodgson meme where he sat in the dugout and he's going, and he just goes, it was that. And that was all of last night, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking like, Is it the players thinking, I can't trust my teammates, and thinking they need to do it all on their own? I mean, Mavididi and Fatawu do it, and I sometimes look at them and thinking, you don't have any trust in your teammates that they can do what you can do with it. Fair enough. But, they were all doing it last night.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be the case where, you don't trust your teammate because if you give the ball to them, or maybe they're just scared to make that pass in case it gets intercepted.
Again, I think it might have been Harry Winks, I'm not sure, but there was a pass from the midfield forward, and the Leicester player stood waiting for the ball to come to him. Mm-hmm. It would have gone to him because it was, perfect line, but because he stood and waited, one of the Hull defenders nipped in front of him, got the ball, and they had a counter-attack.
Yeah. That was to Ayew. That was to Ayew. I remember it and getting angry at him because, he was so slow.
You're right. It was Ayew. Yeah, I've just seen my notes. I mean, what are you doing, Ayew? You don't stand and wait for the ball to come to you. It's just, and this is what gets me, as you said, basic, simple football.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're not a great lover of the momentum chart, but I want to show you, because I had to make sure that I'd actually clicked on the right game when I did this. Hull are orange, Leicester are blue, just to make it easy for you. There is no way we had that much fucking momentum during that game.
So I get the second half because they sat back and we had plenty of the ball and we were trying to break down the team. So I can understand the second half, but the first half, it was not like that at all. It felt like every single time they got the ball, they were through on goal. And again, after 35 minutes, I thought, well, my 3-0 rule is going to be coming into effect here, and I can go home early. So yeah, I don't get these momentum charts. I really don't. It's one of those things where I'm always critical of it because it just doesn't make sense to what I see in the game and what other people have seen in the game as well. So yeah.
If it was a possession chart,
Yes.
I'd get that.
Yep.
I would understand that because when you look at the possession, and I've used sort of more simple graphs this week. Hull had 36%, we had 63%.
Yeah,
with the bits added on. I mean, when you have that much, and I know we won the Premier League with the least possession, but when you've got that much possession, you need to be doing something with it. We had double their shots. They had 9, we had 18. But 9 of their 9, 6 were on target. Only 2 of ours were.
Well, it says 4 though, doesn't it? Shots on target 4, but yeah.
It is 4. You're quite right. I should have gone to savers.
Yeah, but I can only because even if you think about it, the goal was on target. Because the Harry Winks off the post doesn't count as on target because technically it's off target for some weird reason in football. But okay, fair enough. Yeah. It still hit the goal. So, but I can't think of. Well, no, there's a header against Patterson. Did a header in the first half. That's all I can remember for shots.
Yeah.
Game. So yeah, 18. I have no idea where that number came from.
No. But I mean, I think they were just wild. People getting the ball and just shooting it wherever.
What I will say is that we had 7 corners, right? And there was a corner before half time where it came in play and it went over the bar and it hit the top of the net on the we had 7 corners. Again, we are awful at putting balls in the box. We just never seem to threaten, and then if anything, it seems like a detriment to us because it always gives the ball back to them and they're countering us.
Interesting. I don't know if you saw it or you knew what was going on, but at half time it was the delayed start because there was a hole in the net.
Yes, now, I did see that.
Yeah, you and me I'd look at that and go, "There's lots of fucking holes in the net," but there was a proper hole, and it was in the top.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to do that, AU, get it to hit the hole so that the ball drops in and we call the referee.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been nice, but no, it never works that way for us.
The corners are getting, I thought, better because AU at the start of the season was pretty decent at the corners. But again, it was all over the place. And even the ones that we try in the short corners and all of that, they're just not coming off, are they?
No, and the frustrating thing is the delay. So if we get a corner and the ball goes out of play on the opposite side of the pitch and we get another corner, the delay between Jordan Ayew going from one part of the pitch to another to take the other corner is the most frustrating thing in the world because the momentum that we have and the pressure goes out the window because it's taken so long to get across there. And his crossing for corners has not been great at all this season. And I think it's a decline. He was okay in the first game, but yeah, it's just not good enough. But then you can say that about a lot of issues we've got.
Yeah, there was 100 minutes played yesterday. Or that was, there was 10 added on. How many of those minutes do you think was actual football?
67.
No.
Okay.
50.
50. Well, actually, I've got a complaint to make, and it's not about the football itself. It's about Hull and their fans, right? There were 2 times in that second half where the ball went out for a throw-in, and the same person held onto the ball. Then when we picked up the other ball that was there to take the throw-in, he then booted the ball onto the pitch. Why is there not somebody going to have a word with him saying, stop doing that? That's out. Because that wouldn't happen at the King Power. We'd get kicked out if somebody did that at the King Power. It delayed the play because then the ref had to stop the ball, get the ball off the pitch. Oh, sorry, that frustrated. Yeah, it reminded me. I just remembered.
That's basically, I'm sorry, that's cheating,
Yeah. 50 minutes. 50 minutes, 5-0.
Yeah. Well, it might have been 52. I'll give you but that's what you're paying your money for.
Yeah.
And Marti got a yellow card. Now, Is he being stupid? Is he being passionate? Their manager was in the stands because he'd got 3 yellow cards so far this season. Only 9 bloody games. And then Hamza. What? I think this is the second time Hamza has been booked whilst on the subs bench. Somebody needs to get hold of Hamza and say, you're not a fucking child anymore. Act your age and control yourself.
Is that when he went off? Did he get a booking when he went off?
Yeah, he wasn't on the pitch. He was off the pitch.
Okay,
yeah.
right. I didn't see that, to be honest.
The commentator thought that Enzo, bloody hell, I'm going all over the place today, thought that Marti was going to get a second yellow and be sent to the stands. But he wasn't. The referee was going over to talk to him to say, control your player, and then showed the yellow. And as far as I haven't done anything different, but they said at the time that it was Hamza. I mean, there isn't an excuse for that. If Hamza collects yellow cards and he ends up having to miss a game, 2 of those he shouldn't have got, because of his behaviour.
Yeah.
But that's just a personal thing with me. Right, these are the shots. There was where Ramsey's goal went in. And you can see at the bottom all the shots that we had. It was a wonder strike, but we are relying on lone players. Interestingly, during the watch along, my mate Dan because I lived in Burnley for 20 odd years, and he came in and he said, "What the bloody hell's happening to the Foxes?" Blah blah blah. He said, "What does Marti need to do to change the things round?" And I said, "Have you got 11 more loanees we can have?" And that's the only way, because these players are just so out of touch, I think, with what's going on.
Yeah, so funnily enough, I missed the goal yesterday because I was tweeting saying, hey guys, the only way we're actually going to score a goal is if we actually take a shot. And as I hit send, the ball went in the back of the net. And I was like, well, I take full responsibility for that one. That's on me. So, but yeah,
you willed that ball in, didn't you?
I did. But because it took so long to send the tweet, I had to delete the tweet because it happened. It got sent 4 minutes afterwards, and I was like, "Wow, that's pointless, isn't it? Fuck's sake!" But yeah, we're relying on players that clearly don't want to be here, and the bad thing about that sort of map there is it shows that we had a load of shots in the 18-yard box that didn't trouble the keeper at all. And that's a worry in itself. But we've been saying all season that without a striker, an actual striker in form that's scoring goals and he's showing willing, we struggle. And it's gone, well, if you combine all the strikers together and, 1 goal and 1 assist in that time for all the strikers combined, that is just awful. It really is. And I know Marti had issues at QPR with strikers not scoring goals. They're relying on their wingers and midfielders to score more. But you can't expect to get promoted in this league if you don't have a striker that can score 15, 20 goals a season. And
in fairness, you could argue that, well, that was what he inherited. And Carranza, I wasn't impressed with that signing at the start. I hope he proves me wrong, and I hope he makes me eat humble pie at the end of the season and he's the top goal scorer. I can't see it, to be honest with you, because when you're third choice for a team like Feyenoord and you've come from America, the last American striker we had is now on loan at Newport. We haven't even seen him in a blue shirt in anger. So I'm not, but if he was to make changes, like you're saying, if he was to put Evans in, and Evans, I'd be annoyed if we still didn't score a goal, but I'd be saying, but at least he's giving Evans a chance.
Yeah, and these players, look, we don't know the potential of them realistically. We don't know the trajectory of these players. We don't know whether or not they can make the step up. We might find out in 4, 5, 6 games times if we started these younger lads that they're just not good enough anyway, and they revert back to type. But without trying them, you're never going to know.
Exactly.
Louis Page, who played against Charlton, played against Birmingham. Okay, he looked a bit lightweight. I'm not sure the step up was right at the time. But giving him 15, 20 minutes at the end, when you got nothing to lose, when you're already losing 2-0 or 2-1 at this point, that it makes sense to me. Otherwise you're playing Samare, who's not going to be here in a year's time, who clearly doesn't want to be here. Okay, he looked slightly better last night to an extent. He put the effort in, But I want more than that. You know, this is Samari, who played for Sevilla and was really good a couple of years ago. Samari that was at Lille and won the French league and was touted as one of the best midfielders to come out of France for a long time. And now he's struggling against the Hull side in midfield. It's just it's beggars belief, really, that the manager still picks these players when there's a golden generation.
Yeah, no, I agree. It reminds me very much of last season, and I hate to keep going back to last season, but that's the nearest thing we've got to compare with. But the last game of the season, Renete, I think, played. Why? When he's going?
Yeah.
And we're already down. What was the point?
Yeah, to be fair, he didn't make many changes, did he, against Bournemouth last game of the season? We still had the same sort of 11.
Yeah. Once we went down, we'd gone down, and whether he thought he was going to be here or not, he was being paid by the club. He should have been saying, right, I'm going to blood some of these players for next season.
Yeah,
agreed. But no, I'm going to put a player in there that's off in 3 days. I mean, well, don't start me on that one anyway. Very quickly, I'm not going to bring all the details up, but this is, I mean, I said on Monday, we don't have to do Samari, but he was picked, he was back in. I don't know if I'm missing something. Brad kind of likes him. I think he probably had one good run and that was it. I don't see what this guy brings to the team.
No, and clearly, look, Brad's bottled it again tonight. He's not here again to talk about the ratings. We're going to have to start calling him out, Chris, because it's just not good enough that he's not turning up.
Absent Brad, we can call him.
Yeah. And look, Samari last night, I mentioned earlier on that at one moment he won the ball twice and gave the ball away twice within about a 15-second space. There was a moment where he cut inside in his own box and almost ran past Jakob with the ball. And you're like, mate, what are you doing? I think he made one tackle that I saw. But yeah, as a defensive midfielder or in that number 8 role that JJ plays, it's night and day. Look at JJ and the amount of running he does and the fact he still scores goals. He scored more goals for us than Samari has ever even assisted for us in a Leicester shirt. And he's only been here 7 games? It's 6 games. So, and to think that you can rely on this player who didn't want to play in the Championship the first time we got relegated, was terrible for the majority of last season and is just not showing it again this season. I don't get it. He's awful. I don't see either. There are some people that think he's an incredible player still and has a future at a different club. Don't get me wrong. He might go to Spain or France or Germany and play well, but he's never done it here, and it won't change my opinion of him. No.
You can be a good Daka. I mean, that funnily enough, this was what one of the Hull commentator was saying last night. He said this is a player that has scored for fun in Austria, and he's got 7 in 70 games or something. No, it's not even that, is it? 7 in.
So he's got 117 games and he's scored 17 league goals. 117 league games, 17 league goals.
Yeah. Thank you for digging me out of that. But even the whole guy's saying that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Daka's not scored in 320 days.
No.
As a striker, that cost £23 million to go almost a full calendar year without scoring a goal is outrageous. And I put up earlier on Twitter that, comparing him to Adi Akinbayi, who is, people say is our worst signing of all time. I think Patson Daka takes that trophy significantly from Akinbayi as a striker because he cost £23 million. He's scored 4 goals in Moscow and he's dined on that ever since.
Yes, and I think in fairness to Akinbayi, he actually did do it in the lower leagues. It was just in the Premier League he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Look, if anybody needs to go for a wee, now is the time to do it. But I prefer it if you didn't. But we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors. So just bear with me while I do this. So listen up, Leicester fans. Don't miss the best soccer action this weekend live on Sky Sports with Now. All the non-3 p.m. kickoffs are available, including the Premier League, Championship, and even the Bundesliga. You can catch all the action live on Sky Sports with a Now membership, so don't miss a moment. You can stream Sky Sports on Now flexibly, like Ipswich versus West Brom, Portsmouth versus Stoke, Dortmund versus Cologne, all this weekend. Search nowtv.com for full details. That almost sounded professional, didn't it? Oh, I hate having to do those things myself, you know. But right, I tell you what, I don't normally do this, but I'm gonna vote give the players some marks as well.
Oh, Brad, you've changed.
Better looking, I think. Better looking. Well, normally the thing is, normally when there's the both of you in, you don't want we're going to have three sets of figures. Jordan, you and Brad. So you don't want a fourth set as well. But as soon as we've got no Brad, and as soon as I'm really, really, really pissed off, I'm gonna go. So we're gonna have. I'll let you go first,
Okay.
and then I will go second, and then obviously we'll say what Jordan has got. Let me just do that so I can't see his ratings. Right, so here we go. Let's start with the starting 11. Seems a good place to start. Stolarczyk.
I give him a 6. He made a couple of good saves in the second half to keep us in the game. I can't think he was at fault for the goals themselves. It was an okay performance for him. It's just unfortunate that he was let down with those in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, I would give him a 5. Purely because, despite the fact that we lost 2-1, our goal wasn't peppered. He wasn't having to make save after save after save.
Yeah.
And it's not like, he's in goals if he's not having shots to save. And it wasn't a fault for either of the goals, unfortunately. But I think, for me, he's being dragged down by his teammates. Jordan says, Miller's goal was an excellent finish, but he was taken out of the game completely by Giles Cost for the second. I mean, he went down for that, and as soon as the goal went in, he was like, where's the fucking defence?
Yeah.
There were some dodgy passes and fumbles with his hands too, although he did deny Gail Hartwell late on. Ooh! Now Jordan's in one of those moods. 4.
4?
Yeah,
okay.
I know.
Bit harsh, but fair enough.
Well, I thought I was being harsh.
Maybe he got stuck in Hull last night. That's why he's so angry.
Well, let's be honest with you. You would be if you were stuck in Hull.
True. Yep.
Chowdhury.
A 5. He wasn't great in the first half. He gave the ball away quite a bit. A couple of okay interceptions, but realistically, just not great at all.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give him a 5. I'm disappointed to see he was in there. And look, Chowdhury is one of, I would love him as a squad player. Mm-hmm. We all know Ricardo is better than him. And I suppose Marti's thoughts there was you can't play him Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. And Millwall's going to be should be the tougher game. I mean, they're sat in third now. It's nice that we've got them next, isn't it? So I understand that, but nobody had a good game. Let's be honest, did they? Now Jordan says he afforded Miller too much space, both to cross and for the winger's goal. Choosing to stand on the line rather than keep tabs on his man, he did well to set up Daka's chance, but didn't provide much other than that. Would you believe another 4?
Oh, bloody hell.
I think he's really got the knives out, Jordan, tonight, hasn't he? Oh my God, Wout Faze. Oh, Jesus.
5. Look, he goes wandering a bit. There was a moment in the first half where he pushed up to get the ball and they just played it around him and he was out of position. And I think for the second goal, he could have got tighter to the crossing player. but overall not awful, but just not great. And I'm sick of seeing him in a Leicester shirt.
I wasn't impressed at all. I mean, when he came on, before the transfer deadline window, when he wasn't starting, he was coming on and he was making a difference in those last 20 minutes or so. Where's that phase gone?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wrote this down and I'm going to have to stick with it. I'm going to give him a 3.
Fair.
I just was not impressed at all. He dribbled forward regularly in the first half, but he didn't really get anywhere. True. And then wasn't decisive enough in his defending to prevent counters in the second half. To prevent counters. In the second half, he was fine. Yeah, because they were sitting back. They didn't have, he didn't have anything to do. Yeah. He gets the 5 off Jordan. So you've agreed with
the board.
Yeah, you're on your board, and that I'm afraid has to be. I'm just looking for it here because I've got this especially for you. Football friend.
Yep. He's my friend. He's my best mate, Jordan.
Well, hey, after you had what's it called on the back of your shirt, Woodkin, have you still got that on? Or have you taken it off yet?
I know. I'm still wearing it for home games because we haven't lost with me wearing it at home yet. So, but I don't wear colours away from home, so I just sit in black or blue in this case.
It's the safest thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, Yannick Vestergaard.
6 for me. He's still one of our better players this season. He was decent with the passing. I don't think he's at fault for the goals. As a defender that's going to pass the ball a lot, he's great. But yeah, when you're pressing him, it's not ideal. But still probably our better defender yesterday.
Yeah, we can't give halves, can we?
No, we can't. No, not allowed. Not allowed.
Am I not allowed? It's my channel. Can I not do it?
No, if you do it, I'm going to start doing it forever. And I'll tell Brad and he'll love it.
Oh, don't tell Brad. Do not tell Brad. Now, I don't think I can go a 7 for him. So I think I'm going to have to go agree with you as much as that pains me and go 6. As to what I still like about, and again, it was picked up by the whole commentators, one of their players was through. He'd gone to Vestergaard's right, and Vestergaard just put his foot out. And the ball came, it was just stopped. And I'm thinking, that's simple. That is just simple defending. Put your foot where the ball is. The ball ain't going to go past you, And then it was to the right of him, but he did really well. So, no, I'm going to give him a 6. There were a couple of crunching tackles, but he was also statuesque at times and let players peel off him. His passing off target at first started to find its mark later on and helped City put pressure on. He got a 5 off Jordan. I think he was one of our better ones. I thought, to be honest with you. Oh God. And I'm saying that because I know you're going to go with this one,
Mr. Thomas. So I don't think he's at fault for the second goal. I think he's tracking a runner into the box, and somebody should be tracking him instead. Their midfielder. The first goal, he gets caught out, and he's out of position for their sort of for their winger to come through. He's still a bit of a liability for me, and he was the weak link down that side. And every time somebody attacks down the side, it feels like they're going to score. He gets a 3 for me, just not great.
Ooh. I don't feel so bad about my 3 now. Now, I agree. Look, there would have been times in his career when we would have been up shit creek without him. I think he's probably still living off the I've got Mo Salah in my pocket game. That said, was that such a big thing when you look at how Mo Salah plays at the moment? I've given him 4, to be honest with you, so I'm there or thereabouts with you. Not one of his better games. I would have, and I started the season wanting Thomas over Christensen, but I am starting to go. Last night, I would have liked to have seen Christensen on that. His attempted interception left him in no man's land for the first goal, and then he lost all track of Geldart for the second. Going forward, there were a few decent crosses and passes, but not enough to make up for the poor defensive moments. Unfortunately, I'm football friends because I score. So I've fallen into your trap there. Harry Winks.
A game of two hearts for me with Harry Winks. He was atrocious in the first half. Just awful. His passing was bad. He kept getting intercepted. But second half, you saw the quality of him when he had somebody, to pass to and a bit more sort of energy. He did get back a couple of times and put in some defensive tackles. So if you compare the first half to the second half, I think a 6 is fair.
A 6. And he got the captain's armband when Chowdhury went off.
He did, yeah. I'm not sure if I like that, but yeah.
Oh, I was going to say I did quite like that. Because I think experience-wise, who else is there to give it to?
Vestergaard,
No.
Ayew,
No.
Abdul, Jakob.
No, I don't. That's nothing against Jakob. I just don't want keepers as captains for me, And I never wanted Casper before anybody said, okay, Casper. Kevin's in. Hi, Kevin. I think he's probably knowing what he was saying yesterday during the watch along. His votes would be lower than ours. I'm going to agree with you and give him 6. He had a better second half, but then, like with Vestergaard, they stood off us in the second half, so we were always going to look better. If it had been 0-0 and they were still chasing a goal, because they knew that they just had to sit. And when you're 2-0 down, you just let the opposition come on you and just pick them off with breakaways, which in fairness was what they were doing. He looked for the penetrative, I can't say this word, penetrative passes to James in the first half, but when they didn't come off, he kept it steady. He was busy without ever truly influencing the game. It was a great effort against the bar at the death, and he got 5. I mean, again, it's ifs, buts, and maybe.
Yeah.
A couple of inches lower, maybe talking about a 2-2.
Exactly.
Right. You ready for this? Mr. Sumare.
Mr. Sumare.
Favourite.
I give him a 2 out of 10. Ineffective in the first half. Shouldn't have been the player that stayed on the pitch in the second half. He should have gone off instead of JJ. No threat going forward. Liability in defence. Can't pass the ball. Can't press. Can barely run. And just lumbers about. And I stick by what I said. Worst player on the pitch.
So, anything positive you want to say about him?
He's leaving in the summer?
Yeah, exactly. Put him out to grass between now.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come in and buy him in January because he's that fucking shit. So we might as well, what's the point in playing him? I thought I was being really, really harsh, and I thought I can't give him a 1 because that would be too harsh. So I've agreed 2 as well. As Kevin said, apart from that, though, I don't look what Jordan's giving him. I've got to go all the way down. Hang on a second. A bizarre game. That's a good start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bizarre game. He was so poor for so long, not knowing what to do on the ball, losing it regularly, and looking uncomfortable in attack. But then he improved greatly. Did I miss that as well as Kodaka coming on?
Improved greatly.
He improved greatly and set up big chances for Ramsey and Fatawu, supporting the winger well on the right. And this is as good as it gets for Jordan today. 4. No,
I can see where he's coming from with the 4. Like there were some underlapping runs, sorry, in the second half. But when you're 2-0 down, you expect your midfielders to make those runs. So it's the bare minimum.
yeah. I improved greatly. I think. No, Jordan.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Jordan James.
4. I don't think he should have gone off, as I said to the previous person in before these ratings. No, he wasn't great in that 10. We all know now that he's not a player that can play in that role. It really is a case of putting sort of square pegs in round holes when he plays in that position. He just can't link the play as well as he can do in the sort of 8 position. So yeah, not great, not a great game. He was off for sure. So yeah, I think 4's fair.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me just think what I was going to say. Then it's gone. This is one of those marks. I don't want to add a half onto it, but I'm going to add an asterisk onto it.
Okay.
Because it gets a sorry, let me just write this down while I think about it. My head's going tonight. No, I've already written it down. He didn't have his best of games, but how much of that was his fault? When you're being played out of position. I know that some fans will say, well, these are professional players. They should be able to play in whatever position. When you've been training all week and, you're used to playing a position, and when the previous 2 games you've been outstanding and virtually man of the match, and then you're asked to play in a different role, he's going to say yes because he wants to sort of move here. Yep. But he gets the 4 from me. But I'm going to have to give him an asterisk because I don't think it was his fault. We gave a lot of these last season to James Justin because we said he was crap, but he's on the wrong side of the pitch.
Yeah. Fair.
Perhaps harshly subbed because he was far from the worst City player in the first half, albeit he wasn't as influential as usual. Fair play, Jordan. He made runs beyond Daka to try and get into the box, although lacked sharp control when he was there, while he played some nice first-time passes to Fatawu, and he got a 5. Yeah. James has no support. He has to cover too much. Felt so devastating, and seeing Charlton go above us is sickening. I mean, we dropped down to 8th last night. We could go down to 10th if results go a certain way tonight. And I don't know how things are going at the moment. We're still in 8th at the moment. So, right. Okay. So, Fatawu.
A game of 2 halves again for Abdul, to be honest. He was ineffective in the first half. I think you could probably give him a 6 because he was the only one trying in the second half that was coming off. I don't think we should have had a penalty when he went down in the box. I think that was a bit of a weak one. You could have a case for the first half where their player slid in and basically caught the ball in his chest with his hands like this. And that was with Abdul sort of controlling the ball. But overall, look, we can't just rely on him every week to do something special. And it's getting to the point now where they're tripling up on him to stop him being effective. So, a 6.
I've gone 5, which, I mean, same with some of the marks I've been given this week. In fact, no, I can't. So I gave Chowdhury a 5. I'm going to have to give him a 6. I'm going to have to agree with you because if I give Chowdhury a 5, I can't give this guy a 5. He tries. Like I say, I don't blame him. It annoys me when he goes on his own and tries to beat 10 players. The fact that he is, he loses the ball, it's because players around him happen to be absolutely shite at the moment. And we can't, every 10 times, and he was going on, he was, they were giving him room to come on that left hand, cutting on the left and use his left foot. But it's, like I say, out of every 10 times, 8 of them are going to be over wide or whatever,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he lost the ball like 34 times in that game yesterday, which is a record.
I will go with you on that one. I
know it was a very. I heard a Nil say it last night, and it was a lot. That's for sure.
Well, I will say that in the where are we? 12 up to the 12th minute, right? So this is 12 minutes into the game. He had lost it 8 times.
Yeah,
and at that point, I stopped counting.
Yeah. It just goes to prove, doesn't it, that, like, if he's not on it, he's definitely not on it.
But again, you could argue he had no support. The players around him, weren't good enough. Right, let's have a look what Jordan says. Similar to so many other matches this season, and that he ran into trouble, overhit crosses, and made poor decisions with his shots. And yet he was so often City's most dangerous player, and did brilliantly to tee up Winks late on. He got a 5 actually off Jordan. Ooh,
that's
more
harsh,
than
isn't it?
Yeah. Mr. Ayew.
Jordan Ayew. Crossing terrible, pressing terrible, shot creation not great, passing lackluster. But I still think he's our best striker. He gets a 4 for yesterday because he was just ineffective. But yeah, we need to see more from him.
So would you start him against Millwall in that number 9 role?
Yeah, I think I would, unfortunately, because we have looked a bit better in games where he's played. Because he dropped so far deep, I think sometimes it just pulls defenders along with him, so it gives a bit more space to the players around him. But
yeah,
it's a rock and a hard place, isn't it? Because none of them are good enough up top.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah. I've given him a 3 with an asterisk because he wasn't in his normal position again, so I think that's unfair. Jordan, we'll come back to this. His close control was good, and his layoffs when playing centrally were accurate, setting up Ramsey's goal. But he fluffed his lines for his big chance in the first half, and another didn't fall his way. 5 off Jordan. He likes his 4s and 5s today.
He does, yeah. He's been quite harsh for a change, isn't he?
Yeah. Jay says, Chris, do you see us sliding further down the table? Oh, I do indeed. Yes, unfortunately, I do. But then again, I think the start that we've had was better than we would have expected. I wasn't one of these that thought, yes, these players are suddenly going to turn us into Barcelona and we're going to walk the league like we did under Enzo. So I think we had a good start, which will make the fall down, even more obvious. Oh my God. Okay.
He gets a 1. And I think that says it all. Not because he's overtly negative. I just think he offers literally nothing. And at one point in the first half, he was through on goal with the defender and he fell over whilst trying to kick the ball. He offers nothing whatsoever in that position. I know he's got no confidence, and I understand that a striker that hasn't scored a goal in nearly a year for a football club, he has scored for international, but whatever. Yeah. He's just not a player we should be playing anymore. I just think he's got nothing. He's genuinely got nothing.
It was. I mean, if it wasn't so embarrassing, I would have laughed when Daka fell over that time, because they were looking at it on the commentary. Again, I was listening to the Hull, and they know, I don't think that's a penalty. No, I don't think he caught him then. And they went, hang on, he fell over himself, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is so embarrassing. Yeah. I've gone 2, to be honest with you. He wasn't even closing down like he normally does, and that's the one thing he can do. He's got the speed to close down, and he wasn't even doing that. Patson Daka, brilliant game. My man of the match, it says here. No, it didn't. No, it doesn't. You knew that, didn't you? A difficult evening in which he was almost totally ineffective, even as someone to stretch the game. He lacked strength when chasing loose balls and sometimes tripped himself up, while his touch was lacking at times too. Could have shown more conviction with his big chance. It was a superb block by Ajay. You went 1, I went 2, Jordan went 3.
I think Jordan's being a bit positive there. I think he could easily drop another point off there quite without any issues.
That said, I think this one has been, out of all the games, I'm disappointed Brad's not here, to be honest with you, because I think this is the most sense that he's talked all.
Well, exactly. But then Brad would have given Samari an 8, so...
That is true. That is very, very true. Right, let's have a look at the subs then. I don't know why I've got AU there.
He probably was a sub to me. He was so bad, he probably did come on. He didn't. He started the game. He's definitely not a sub.
No, I'm just looking. Why have I done that? This has all gone to cock straight away. Then, right. Oh, I know why I've done that. So I've missed somebody off on the subs. But anyway, here we go. Ramsey.
7. Scored a goal. Played pretty well when he came on. I don't understand why he didn't start the game. He needs to start in that 10 role every week now for me. Yeah. I think a 7 is fair just because he looked like he was, when he came on, that he wanted to win a game of football.
Yes, yeah. I agree. I'd give him 7 and, he was he wasn't my man of the match. I'll tell you who my man of the match was later, but he was generally, for the other guys that were doing the watch along, he was their man of the match. Yeah. But I was doing this in a rush this morning because I know I was going out to see my granddaughter and I wanted it ready for when you came in. Monga? Oh, sorry, no, hang on. He actually got a 7 off Jordan as well, so 3 7s.
Okay. Monga, I think that when he came on, he looked tricky. He took on the players that you needed to do. He then got tripled up on like Abdul does, so he came a bit less effective. There are times where I wish he'd put the ball in the box a bit more. That can be frustrating. But I think a 6 is fair for Monga.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 5 with an asterisk. I like my asterisks. He did have a difficult game because he was tripled up on, like you say. He got a 6. Oh, football friends. He got a 6 off Jordan as well. Akoli.
Didn't put a foot wrong for me when he came on. He looked composed on the ball, which is something that I haven't said for a while. He did okay. I think a 6.
A 6. Unfortunately, I've gone 5. I say didn't do a foot wrong, but it's hard to go higher than that in this game if you don't score a goal. And unfortunately, I'm football friends again because I've got a 5 with Jordan. Carranza?
4. Didn't really offer a lot. He had one opportunity where he chested the ball down and could have laid it off, but just I think he got his shot blocked. He's just not. I just don't think he's good enough.
I'm so glad you're saying this because I've been saying that. I was so disappointed that he was the striker we got, but I want him to do well because I want anybody in the Leicester shirt to. I want FaZe to turn it around and do well, but I just don't think this is the right guy. I've gone 2, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay.
I just don't think he offered anything, to be honest with you. And I'd have sooner, like you say, he did move AU, didn't he? But I'm afraid we're back to football friends because he gets a 4 off Jordan. And the guy that I missed, and the reason I missed him because he was hardly on, and that was Christensen. And Jordan hasn't given him a mark, and I don't even remember seeing him touch the ball. So,
okay, I'm actually going to give him a number because for 2 reasons. there was a moment in second half where he won the ball back, he gave the ball back to them, and then he booted it off their player out for a goal kick when he could have just cleared the ball normally. And then that bit where his first touch, he passed the ball out of play, basically. I'm giving him a 3. Awful.
3. Do you think in fairness, though, do you think there's a bit of ring rustiness there?
Possibly. That could happen. But I think they're all ring rusty at this point, aren't they? Even this into the season, they're all a bit shit.
Yes, no, I couldn't argue with you on there. Right. Oh, God. Marti Cifuentes. I'll go first on this one. I want to get it off my chest. Our worst game under him, and it was all his fault. The players were awful. Look, I'm not saying sack him. I'm not. That would be ridiculous. Otherwise we'd be turning into Nottingham Forest. Hey, Sean Dyche. But I just think he got everything wrong last night. He got the starting lineup wrong, and he got the substitutions wrong, and he didn't compensate. There was what happened to the plan Bs that he had. Fortunately, I am giving him a 1 because I think he was absolutely awful and he should take the blame. And I know it's very easy to say, well, he can't control the players when they're not listening to him and all this. Well, if they're not listening to him, grow a pair of balls and drop them.
Yeah, I give him a 3 for me. I think you're spot on in the sense of the starting 11 was poor. The substitutions at halftime were poor. He tried switching up to 3 at the back to give us a bit more sort of attacking prowess, but quality was lacking, and it has been lacking for a while. I just think that, he needs to take that blame himself because it is on him.
But why? Why, Delilah? Why are we making? Why we're chasing games? We shouldn't be chasing games. If you, well, I'm not saying we would have won, but if you hadn't started with that lineup, we might not have been having to try and get 2 goals back.
Exactly. And my main issue with Marti is that he seems to say everything the fans want to hear, but he doesn't back it up himself. And that he's going to start losing the fan base if he doesn't actually do what he says that he's going to do.
Yes. And I've got to say, totally, I agree with that. I think he's saying the right things. I just think he's very clever because, he's not saying the normal sort of football things. And, I don't know if do you ever watch the press conferences?
Occasionally I do, yes.
Now, the other week it was literally 5 minutes. Now, I know that's not the full, and that's just what the club have edited out. But what we get off the club, and you're saying about, Tim the Conformed is, there is no controversial questions being asked. Whoever goes first, and that seems to be, well, there's always one, whoever goes first seems to get a chance to ask 5 questions or something like that. Maybe to take it in turns. But it's almost like you can have that privilege, but we want to check the questions you're asking first. Oh, don't ask that one. That's controversial. No, it is. And I think that's the club bullshitting us and, not showing us the full press conference. I think we, because when you used to get Jason Bourne going along, when, he's still at TalkSport, he used to ask some really difficult questions.
Yeah, so I with the questions for media and stuff, so it's split into 2 days, effectively. You have the one press conference in total, but you can only release so much, and then the written press get to release other bits and pieces, so it's staggered into what comes out. So that's why you never get the full press conference on a Thursday. You get bits on a Thursday, bits on a Friday sort of situation. But I agree, and it's been like that for a while. I think the last time we had a question that was a bit sort of punchy was Enzo, when he was talked about the January transfer window, and he came out and said, I wanted to bring players in, but the club said I wasn't allowed, effectively. I don't think we've had a question that's a bit spicy for a very long time. And yeah, it could be a case that the club are controlling what comes in and what goes out. But look, it's that you saw the quotes today from Top in regards to how he's enjoying the new role as CEO and doing all this sort of stuff. That fills me with dread, Chris. I'm not going to lie. Having a man that could barely run King Power, that has a monopoly in Thailand and is failing, to then come in and say, well, I want to go hands-on and run the finances at Leicester. Great.
Yeah. I can see it, they say, a fall's always greater after a bit of success, isn't it? Right. Well, I like I say, I wasn't impressed with them at all. But not let that said that I think it's stupid if we, get rid of him now. He's got to be given a season and the chance to bring some of his own players in, not just freebies.
Yeah.
Team rating. Now, this is interesting. What would you give the whole team performance?
A 4. That first half was the worst game of football I've seen in a very, very long time. The second half was decent, but still lacked that clinical edge. There's a lot of work to be done. I think a 4 is okay. It is there or thereabouts.
Well, I would disagree with you. Because, well, let me put it this way. Wayne agreed with you, and Wayne gave it 4. Jim gave it 3. Tom gave it 3. I gave it 2.
Okay, fair.
That first half was awful. Did we improve in the second half? It's questionable. Yes, it looks like we did. But when you 2-0 up in the second half, as that team that's ahead, you can sit back.
Yeah.
You can let the other team come at you, because the chances are, especially as the game goes on longer, they're going to get desperate and they're going to, we're going to go forward and forward, and they're just going to hit us on the break.
Yes, yeah.
And had, is it McBurney, their goal scoring wizard?
Yes, he didn't play last night, though, did he? I think he was.
Didn't, and thank God he didn't, because I think if he had, we might have been looking at 4-1.
Yeah.
Ben, hi Ben, been a while. How you doing, mate? Nice to see you. He says he gives it 1.5. So we don't do halves. Right. Again, interesting. We're gonna just take the. I'll put it up there straight away, haven't I? he got it. Where was the? There, team header. Pretend you didn't see that one. It's not live. Nobody will know. Team performance.
Is that not what we just done?
That's what I've just done, isn't it? I'm losing it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, he got 5 off Alan, who was at the match. So, 4-5, you're there or thereabouts with him, I thought he was being generous, and he came back with it was a better second half. And as he's on the coach going back home and I'm still presenting the show, I didn't really have a chance to go into a long conversation like with yourself about what difference. I'm losing it, and we need to wrap this up very quickly. Your man of the match, sir.
Who did I give the best rating to?
Ramsey.
Then yes, I give it to Ramsey.
You give it to Ramsey. Right. I have to say, Jim went Fatawu because they said at least he was trying. Wayne and Tom agreed with you and went Ramsey. Are you ready for this? This is my man of the match. I'm giving my man of the match to Bekovic.
Oh, well, he didn't concede a goal, which is good.
He did not look out of place. He didn't concede a goal. He wasn't caught out for crosses. He wasn't kicking the ball out of play. And most of all, he didn't have the embarrassment of being on the pitch.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is why that is only the second time in the 4 or 5 years I've been doing this channel that I've ever done that. But the guy sort of was mad. But that's why I've given it to Bekovic, because not one of them. And I'm sorry, Ramsey. I find it very hard. And yes, like I say, he did look good when he came on. But like I say, they were sitting off us more in the second half, so they'd all look good. And I can never give it to somebody just for scoring a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to annoy me. Like, who was the player of the match? Jamie Vardy. Jamie, scoring goals. But it's not just about scoring goals. This, I'm afraid, Alan does tend to go into default mode. This is his backup man of the match. If he's never sure, I think he's gone for Winks.
Okay.
I'm not
Fair
sure.
enough.
About
Alan
that.
was at the game as well, and I'm sure we watched the same game. But sometimes if you've had a drink, you see other things that other people don't see.
Well, this is the thing, and this is football, isn't it? We all
It's
have different
subjective, yeah.
opinions, and I think sometimes Alan was. I can only put this down. I'm just going to see what he said about that. Actually, I can only put it down to oh shit, who do I go for? Oh, Winks. That's what he tends to do. Might be being unfair to him there, to be honest with you, but like I said, it is all about opinions. But what did he say? Winks and 5. Generous. To be fair, they then came back. I said generous. To be fair, they gave it a good go in the second half, and I put too little too late. This was down to Marti's selection. And he said, unfortunately, Chris, a few of our squad are just not good enough.
Yeah.
Which is very true. Winks, he wasn't the worst by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
if I'm honest with you, Ramsey, despite the goal, I think he did make a difference when he came on. But I am dreading Millwall. I'm absolutely dreading Millwall.
The only positive about Millwall is that I'm going out for lunch with a friend before the game. So other than that, I'm not looking forward to the game either. I'm not looking forward to the drive down to London, hanging out in London. But hey, it's the price I pay for following this awful football club around.
It is, exactly. That's the old table, so we will ignore that.
Yeah, we're in ninth now, I believe, because QPR are winning.
I mean, this is the thing this season, isn't it? What the hell is going on? But yeah, I'm not looking forward. I got no points in the prediction league as well last night, so I'm not in a good mood for that. Look, I've got to say, yes, I was annoyed with the performance. Are we being, and I'm going to round it up now, will we being a little bit too harsh, do you think? I mean, it was a bad performance. Am I being too harsh on Marti? I can't keep saying, well, look, he's only, somebody said earlier he's only had, a third of the time that other people have had. But he should be starting to get it right by now. He should be able to tell who his best players are.
Yeah, and we had a conversation on Monday about the fact that we can't keep harking back to last season and talking about those performances last season. That first half was as bad as some of the games last season.
Yeah,
and I think it's fair to criticise, as much as I back him still as the manager. It's fair for fans to criticise the selection and the decision making of the manager, because when they turn up against Portsmouth in that second half and then that first half against Hull, that's not good enough. There are fans that travel the length and breadth of this country following this club, and there were chances saying, a chance of I want my money back last night because it was so bad in that first half. So the manager deserves criticism. He deserves the praise when we win, and the criticism when we lose. So I don't think you're being harsh. I think you're being fair.
Yeah, and just looking here, I mean, like you say, QPR are winning. Watford are beating West Brom. I mean, in the 90th minute, all these games. Wrexham are winning, and Middlesbrough. I mean, look, they played so well against Ipswich the other week. I thought that it was a good game that as a neutral, and they've only been able to get one past Sheffield Wednesday. It is a funny old league, as somebody once said.
It is, yes.
But as I look at the table, we are in ninth, as you say, but where are they? I've lost them. Ipswich are in 14th, albeit with a game in hand, but that will still keep them below us.
Mm-hmm.
And Southampton are in 18th. So out of the three relegated teams, we are the one that is doing best, if you like. And I wouldn't have predicted that. I think we'd all have predicted Ipswich would be up there somewhere. And everybody was expecting more of Will Still at Southampton.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and we wouldn't expect Coventry to be smashing the league as much as they are doing either, would we? So
no,
exactly. It's a strange league, the Championship, and it's true what they say is the hardest league in world football to get out of.
I think it is, despite everybody saying, "No, it's an easy league. We should walk it." No, we shouldn't. No, we shouldn't.
Agreed.
Nate, thank you very much. I know you've got to be up early, so I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you giving your time up, especially coming straight over from another show. Safe journey on Saturday. All I can say is I hope you get out of there alive.
Yeah, I should be fine. It's not, the Den isn't as sort of aggressive as it used to be. That's for sure. The last time I went, I walked in with 4 Millwall fans talking about the old days sort of thing. So, and they were like, "Oh, it's easy around it. Like nobody will attack you nowadays." So I'm not worried.
Don't worry. Fingers crossed. All the best, mate. Thank you very, very much. Take care. Goodbye. Oh, there we go. Cheers to Steve there for coming in. Thanking you very, very much, sir. Thanks to everybody that's been in the chat. I am dreading Millwall. I'm not going to lie. I'm just seeing here. QPR, has that finished yet? I don't think so. So if Swansea can do us a favour and get a point, we might stay in 8th, but we're 9th at the moment. But look, would we have taken 9th at this stage at the start of the season? I think the answer to that is yes, we would. We will be back with the Prediction League. 7 o'clock tomorrow, myself and Josh. Again, why, I don't know, because I've got no points this week. It's a joke. I'm a joke at it. Why me and Josh are even bothering to predict these scores, I do not know. But thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe, do all that, whether you're watching live or watching on catch-up. And if you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, I really do appreciate it. Those figures are just amazing. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. I will see you at 7 tomorrow. Take care and look after yourself. Have a good rest of the evening.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.